right, I think we're live. Let me just quickly check. Yep, looks like we're live. Let's get started. So,
Cool.
all right, good day, everyone, and welcome to our event on the topic How to Scale Your Recruitment Agency with High Quality Talent from South Africa. I'm Chavi, a content manager at Recruit CRM, and I will be your moderator for today's session. I'll mostly be behind the curtains, and our expert for the day will have all the spotlight. Today, we have with us Elliott Manning. So, a quick intro for Elliott. He's the
Yeah.
founder. He's the founder and managing director of Virtual Outsourcing, part of the Cayman Recruitment Group. With over 12 years in the recruitment industry, Elliott specializes in helping recruitment businesses grow through tailored staffing solutions and outsourcing services. He's also the CEO of Hunted, a global platform for the recruitment industry connecting professionals, companies, and suppliers. And he's also the host of the Search podcast. Today, he's here to share his thoughts on outsourcing talent to South Africa for your recruitment agency. So, yeah, welcome, Elliott.
Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, Elliot. So let's get started. Let's dive right into it. The very first question I have for you is: can you share a bit about the current state of talent shortages in the recruitment industry, and why outsourcing has become such a viable solution?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, the recruitment industry in the UK has been, up and down the last couple of years. I suppose the economy globally has been a bit, up and down. But from a recruitment standpoint, we've seen a shortage of talent. And reason for that, a lot of companies around the last 18 months haven't gone too crazy on hiring with graduates and juniors and trainees so that they can develop them and nurture them to be strong recruiters. So that in itself has kind of like, we've missed a year to 2 years of junior talent that's up and coming that, a year and a half, 2 years later, we see them as big billers that move around the market. And it's trying to create a shortage where people weren't doing that enough. So where the market has also been tough, a lot of recruiters over the last couple of years have not billed as much as they expect to bill or have billed in the past and want to bill. So, you're kind of seeing that, the good talent has also kind of, gone backwards a little bit with their billings, that businesses just have lost interest and I suppose confidence in bringing them into their firms. So, there has been a shortage of it. I speak to founders every single day, and the one thing that they're struggling with more so than ever before is just getting good talent to grow, their businesses despite the amount of work they have. And there's three components in the market that's being discussed globally around how to scale a recruitment company. And one of them is obviously the AI side of things, automation, but outsourcing as well, which, gives you a strong cost reduction against salaries in your business, which if you're a recruitment business owner, that's probably the highest and the biggest spend that you'll find. So to bring outsourcing into the mix there's been a huge demand for it and a whole different talent pool that no one was aware of before.
All right. My next question for you is: what makes South Africa an attractive option for outsourcing recruitment talent compared to other countries?
Look, I grew a business in South Africa a couple of years ago, so I've been there, done it, and chose that route to see some more success in our business. And I set up the outsourcing firm last year off the back of the fact that people needed a different talent pool. With South Africa, they're an hour ahead right now. Some part of the year they go to 2 hours, which is totally fine. You've got the English speaking aspect of South Africa that works really, really well for an international business. You've got the fact that a lot of guys and girls, from South Africa have got a strong academic background, which, adds that little bit of value. Some who haven't got academics are still great, but, it does help. And they've all got experience in recruitment. There's a huge recruitment market there from a global capacity. And there's so much talent that needs more opportunities. So not only is the time difference great, the people there are fantastic, the talent is amazing. You've got a culture of hard work and drive that, I've done this for a while now. And, where I work with South Africans, their drive is a need rather sometimes than just a want. And, when you need to work hard and you need to earn money and you need to do really well, there's a different drive and a personality. Look, there's a huge cost reduction in the fact that, it's a lot more cost effective to hire in South Africa and a 50% difference to hiring in the UK, which is huge on your bottom line. In the US, it's like, it's even bigger than that, compared to the salaries that you would pay over there. So you're seeing a huge difference of amazing talent at a lower cost, and I suppose equal balance on everything else.
All right. Moving on to my next question. How can recruitment agencies ensure they are accessing high quality talent through outsourcing? What factors should they look for in an outsourcing partner?
Look, for us, I can only speak on our part. We are embedded, our business is embedded good recruiters that have experience in finding good talent already. So I've hired experienced people who have got experience in the industry finding good, talented recruiters. And that has immediate value add to our clients, who tell us what their troubles are, what their struggles are. So we understand their needs and their problems, and we provide solutions. So for us as a good outsourcing partners, we're not just transactional in how we operate. And I think to work with our clients properly and we listen to them, they tell us what's going on, and we find a solution with a talented person or team that can kind of help and fill that gap. I think the biggest thing to look at with an outsourcing firm, in my opinion, something that we offer at Vitro Outsourcing, is we guide people through every aspect of the journey, and we're technically holding their hand from start to finish around hiring the talent, the infrastructure, the build out, the culture, and making sure that they know exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, what not to do, all of that stuff. And that's key.
All right. So, Elliot, you talked a bit about saving money on salaries and cutting costs there. My next question is sort of aligned in this area itself. So, many agencies are concerned about costs. Can you explain how outsourcing talent to South Africa can reduce operational costs for recruitment agencies? Can you elaborate a bit more on this?
Yeah, look, I'll give you an example. I've got a client, a London-based business. They are looking to find an alternative to their back office, in a sense that they've got 4 or 5 people that are costing them circa upwards of 250 grand on salaries, and they know that there's a more cost-effective solution around this. So when they told us what was going on there, we've given them a solution that they can technically outsource the same team to South Africa and save 50%. And that other 50% that they kind of will save, they can go and hire a load of fantastic recruiters and see a lot more development in their business that may add a different value, but still not changing any of the dynamic as a company. So I think where we help businesses and understand what their problems are, we can make sure that they're not only saving a lot of money. And look, the UK economy is changing with NI going up, and minimum wage going up, and shortage of talent, and I suppose the expense of being in this country, and having to have higher bases and rely on such high commission checks to be able to live and afford what you want to do. If you go to South Africa, it's a completely different concept that is not just refreshing, but ultimately it's a lot more effective for the businesses, and it still allows these businesses to not close down, to keep moving forward, to keep growing and keep going on their journeys, which is what we're here to support, to support them on.
All right. My next question is, how does outsourcing help agencies manage headcount growth without compromising on quality? Can you give some examples of how agencies have scaled effectively through outsourcing?
Yeah, so that's a prime example that I've mentioned. I've got a client that we've worked with in America who are, their database is enormous. They've got so much going on with it. And ultimately, there was an element of resource that was needed. But rather than going to spend X amount on bringing in resources and delivery people, they know the quality of talent that they can find from an outsourced perspective, i.e. in South Africa, was going to be, extremely good for what they needed. And we've managed to support them with a build out that ultimately they couldn't have done necessarily for the same cost in the US. And it would have made them, and made them as much money as they can make now. So we put a project together and helped them. We sourced them an office. We built a team of exactly what they needed, and we helped them through the journey to get this up and running, so that they had the support structure there to do the resource element in tangent with what they've got in America with the team over there. We've worked with new startups. There's a lot of new startups that can't afford salaries and are very sort of hesitant to spend money. So the outsourcing solution for them was ideal to start hiring their first 1 or 2 people, someone to help them with admin or an ops and marketing, a bit of an all-rounder. or someone to just help them resource. So it gives them more time, but, allows them to spend 50% or even a third of the cost of what it would be in the UK or anywhere else to do the same job. So it's, and I kind of keep saying this, outsourcing keeps businesses alive. It keeps businesses growing on headcount. It actually improves headcount, probably double what you would expect to have on your business plan if you use this method to do so. I guess you just have to accept that they're not physically, necessarily in the office with you. And, you've built an international presence instead, and a business of headcount elsewhere that has allowed you to get where you want to be.
All right. So Elliot, for agencies unfamiliar with the process, what does a typical outsourcing arrangement to South Africa look like in terms of logistics, communication, and integration with their in-house teams?
Logistics are very easy. Like, most people start off on their first time of doing this, with remote workers, and South Africans are extremely good and used to working remote. So you don't have a logistical problem there. You can send them a laptop with a link that we'll send you. You can get them a VoIP phone app on their current phones. You don't have to send them a phone, they'll just download an app. So that gets them up and running. You give them all the logins to the tech stack that you currently use in the UK, US, wherever you are in the world, Australia, and you give them the logins, and they use the laptop, log into all the tech stack that you're currently using. They've got a phone up there on the VoIP system that you've got set up already, and they can get going. So getting them settled and helping them do that is very, very straightforward. From an outsourcing perspective, obviously we support all of that and we help you through each step of the way. We not only source the person for you before all of this starts, we also then help you with the payroll. We onboard them and we employ them on your behalf. And then we outsource them to you with an agreement that says, look, they're employed by us, but we're outsourcing to you on a full-time contract or whatever contract you want. That means that they're your responsibility at that point. And then we give you HR, legislation, law, everything you need to know, just so that you keep them, in position in the right way. And we look after everybody from that front, which then takes you to that logistical point. As long as look, a lot of people are like, oh, how do you manage them? How do you keep them engaged? And we've never hired remote, so how does it work for our team that's over here in Germany or whatever? Collaboration, work with them, get them on a call every morning with the line manager or you or whoever it may well be. Keep them in check, make sure they've been given direction, you've given them support, and catch up with them once or twice a day. That's all it's needed. If you are over managing and micromanaging, you're never going to trust the process of having someone in a different country. So in my opinion, it's best to have those regular catch-ups and then let them do what they've got to do. Make sure they're target driven, they're given KPIs, and they know exactly what direction they need to go in. So you should find it a lot more straightforward if you can do that. Again, we will give you a lot of information around how to orchestrate that.
All right. What steps should agencies take to ensure smooth communication and collaboration between their teams and the outsourced talent, especially when working across different time zones?
Look, I've got guys in South Africa that work for my business that recruit to the American markets, and there's so many fantastic people and recruiters in South Africa that work the US already, so they're used to the hour difference. So if you need them to work from 10 till 8 or from 12 till 9, whatever it is the hours might well be, they'll do it, they're used to it, and they'll work with the US team that you've got or the team in whichever country that you've got a setup already in. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised that that's just a familiar setup, and people are doing that in most places right now, especially in South Africa, and it works really well. So I don't think you're going to have a logistical or any kind of problem or barrier when it comes to time zones, because it's already being done and it's very straightforward. But when it comes to kind of making sure that you've got a team and a culture, like my culture in the UK is exactly the same culture in South Africa, which is exactly the same culture that I have in the US. And our morals and our values as a business are the same everywhere. And if you have got that set up in your business already, or you need help with it, and we can make that happen. But there's no collaborative issues if you are given the right guidance as a business to make it work. And there are outsourcing firms that may just kind of get you the person, put them on your books and help you get them up and running. But from what I've seen on our feedback and how we do our outsourcing, we are there to educate and make sure that it's a smooth process from from not just the start, but throughout the whole time of employment that you have them.
All right. Another question I have for you, Elliot, is what role does technology play in supporting outsourcing to South Africa, especially with recruitment tools and platforms that help streamline the process?
Look, as I said before, like when it comes to technology, you give them what you use now. So if you're using LinkedIn Recruiter, you give them LinkedIn Recruiter. If you're using Zoom Info, if you're using Sourcewell, any of these, tech stacks that are used for outreach, you give them a login and you get them access to that. It's really, there's nothing different in South Africa that you would do that's any different to anywhere else. It's exactly the same. They're part of the business. They're part of the team. They're part of any subscription of tech that you currently use, and you just get them to do the same thing. So I wouldn't look at it as in like, any kind of technology challenges or anything that you would do differently. It's exactly the same, and I think that when you start to see that, and these are built onto what you've already got, it makes it a lot easier.
All right. Coming close to like our last a couple of questions, can you discuss any success stories or case studies where recruitment agencies have benefited from outsourcing to South Africa, particularly, and what were some of the key takeaways from those experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So we've actually recruited for over 25 companies in the last 2.5, 3 months. We've placed over 40, nearly 50 people in those companies. And we've had zero problems, like touch wood, like, hopefully it stays like that. But like we've done everything we can to create a quality sort of aspect to all of what we do. And we've seen, we had someone tell us yesterday that we placed a recruiter with them in January and they've already done 5 placements within their market. That's because the person that they hired that we found for them had already done their market. It was a plug and play process. It was so straightforward that it makes it a lot easier. And we're always checking in to see, okay, has that person done a deal with you yet? Like, how's things going? How's their pipeline? Are they working well? And the answer always has been so far, yes. So from a success story, that's worked really well. The best thing for us, and I'd say 20% of our clients are maybe 1 to 5 person businesses who are in startup mode. And they're predominantly, as I said, skeptical and hesitant to spend money on staff and growth. So when they use this model and they start to say, do you know what? I don't need people in my office here that's going to cost me X amount of money. I can hire a resourcer in South Africa that's going to cost me far less than that and make my life a lot easier. And I can hire a VA, admin, ops, marketing, all-rounder over there that has experience that can do that as well. We've done that with so many businesses that it has made their life 10 times, easier, and it's made their growth and their plans and their journey a lot more smoother. And I think for us, when I hear, having done this so long, that recruitment companies are seeing the value out of not only what I do, but in this kind of model, the demand is very high. And I think a lot of businesses as of recently have kind of get a bit of FOMO, and they want to get involved and they want to know how it can benefit their businesses. And, that's really nice position for us to be in. And it was like the American markets in 2018, when I moved over to New York, I was being reached out to by so many businesses. I ended up consulting them because they were like, how did you do it? Why did you do it? What's going on over there? Look at America now for the UK and the international markets. It's just gone crazy. And I do believe that that's what is going to happen with South Africa because, it's an untouched market.
All right. My final question for you, Elliot, before we move on to our Q&A is, for recruitment agencies that are considering outsourcing for the first time, what are the top 3 pieces of advice you'd give to ensure successful partnership and long-term benefits?
Look, the same way any partnership is led in any industry, it's regular communication, it's clear communication, it's transparency, it's making sure that you're adding value. And I think that where we add a lot of value to our clients, we want our clients to do the same for us. We want them to be very transparent, making sure that they ask us all the questions that they need to ask us and how we can help them and make sure that we're delivering the best service. They're getting the best out of what they need because they're giving us back everything that we need to help them. So I think if you want a good partnership is, it's a 50-50, right? If you want and expect something to be given to you, you've got to give the same amount of, I don't want to use the word respect, but I suppose the same amount back to kind of the person that you work with. You expect the same from your clients, right? And if I ask anyone in this industry or on this call, like on the stream, who has good valued partnerships and relationships, I'd like to think you'd agree with what I'm saying, that it's all about having that open line of communication. and if we've done something wrong, and like you would with your clients, we put it right. Simple as that. So there's no special method behind making it work in a particular way. It's that old school kind of openness and clear cut communication that creates the best partnerships. And if you want and expect something, make sure that you make that very clear so that we can deliver on that and do it as best as possible.
All right, thank you so much, Elliot. We will now move on to taking questions from the audience live. This is going to be a Q&A round. We actually already have one question. Let me quickly tell you what that is. All right. The first question we have is, how would you measure the ROI of outsourcing in recruitment? Are there any specific metrics that agencies should track?
Yeah, so it's the same when you're managing your own staff in any capacity, whether you're a sales company or even selling cars. It doesn't matter. It's all target driven, right? So if you're expecting this person to deliver a certain amount, then need to make that very clear. So what we do, what we tell our clients to do is, if they're there to set do an amount of placements in a quarter or a month, iron that out very quickly. We expect you to be doing X, Y, and Z. And then you look at the metrics behind that. In order to get that, it's that sales funnel technique, right? You kind of then need to say to them, look, we need to see X amount of, messages going out, emails going out, calls going out. We expect to see, X amount of CVs coming through to be sent over to clients and interviews. So, and if they're doing all of the right metrics and KPIs that you expect your staff to do anywhere else, and they're hitting the target numbers that you've put as an expectation, then you will see them delivering against everything that you've set out. How to measure and I know that someone's asked, about, the ROI on this. Look, all I can say to you is that when you're hiring, great people in South Africa, you will be able to give them a lot more time than you would in most other cases, in my opinion. Because if you're hiring someone, as an example, for 40, 50,000 pounds in the UK per annum on a salary, but in South Africa, they're costing you 20 to 25,000 pounds. You could give them double the amount of time, in essence, to really see how they can deliver and not stress so much or worry about it so much as you would with someone on a 50k salary. So it's a little bit about patience, timing, making sure that they've got what they want. And if they're doing that, you'll see the return on investment. You've got to put in as much as you expect them to give out. At the same time, as if they do a placement and they are contributing to one deal and it's worth 20 grand, 10 grand, your profit levels are so much higher anyway because your cost levels are so low. So it's working towards that end goal, is getting a deal from them to see that result. And if you're giving them everything, they'll return it. Oh, we're still live. I'm going to go on to the next question. How do you maintain legal and regulatory aspects while outsourcing talent to South Africa? So look, when it comes to that, we provide you with a client pack as a service. So we'll give you a client pack that outlines all of the HR legislation that you need to be aware of. But to make this very easy for you, like, when you're hiring in South Africa, the employment law is strict, right? It's the same as what the UK is implementing in 2026, as an example, whereby, it's kind of day one employment. And if someone's underperforming, look, you still have 6-month probations, 1 week notice before, 4 weeks thereafter. But as long as you're tracking their performance and you're making, an email chain or note that it's there, that they have been given X target, they've not hit them, they're not performing, and you've gone back and forth and you've done everything you can to get them to a point of success, and you can show that that's being tracked, then you won't have a problem. But if you can't just expect in anywhere, really, in my opinion, in the world, to just get rid of someone because they're not doing well. So we will give you all of the training and support around HR legislation to make sure that you're doing everything the right way. But in this option, you're not really, there's nothing else that you're going to be liable for other than just making sure that you look after your member of staff. So there isn't any legal constraints outside of that.
All right, it looks like my internet lagged before this one, but
Right.
I'm back. And all right, so we have another question. An attendee is asking, any potential long-term benefits of outsourcing talent to this particular region?
Yeah, just everything I've said is the long-term benefit, right? I started off with one person and I'm going over there next week because I'm looking to grow that to a team of 10 in the space of, less than 18 months. And it's because the growth opportunity is there and you can see the potential of the people that you can employ there and they're phenomenal. So for me, look, I went in with a plan and it's like any business. If you've got a plan and you stick to it, and I never wanted to just have one person there. I always wanted a team. So I always wanted to build it out with the right function. And as I've got used to it and understood it a lot more, it's allowed me to figure that out a lot quicker. So yeah, the benefit is massive. And look, let's put it this way, right? If you're in America and you're a $10 million business, but let's call it that, 60% of that is salaries and you're making 30% profit, that's fantastic. But put it in this perspective, if you've got your costs on salaries and outgoings down so that your profit is not 30%, it's 50%, because that is possible if you outsource some of the stuff that you're doing and keep your costs a lot lower, the value of your business grows exponentially. And I think that's the biggest long-term benefit of this. It depends on the direction you want to take your business, but you can increase your profit levels dramatically by lowering your costs and still having the same headcount, if not more, to do the same job to get there.
All right. I think that's about it for the question. Let me see if we have any more. Yeah, we do have. No, it looks like that's it. That's all the questions we have today. So yeah, all right. I think that's it for the event. Elliot, that was amazing. That was so helpful. Looks like we answered a lot of important questions on this topic today. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Elliot, do you have any closing remarks before we end the session for the attendees?
No, look, if anyone just wants to inquire or learn about it, just reach out to me, connect me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help out. It is a proven model. It does work. It's a very strong option to what you're currently doing and something that's definitely worth considering. And when you see the potential rewards out of this long term and those benefits that can come out of it, you'll soon really quickly realize that it's a good move. People have used outsourcing for years in Asia, in the LATAM region, and it's worked, and Philippines, and it's worked incredibly well. But I don't maybe think that people have used the South African market enough. And there's a lot of opportunity there, not just in the recruitment and staffing industry, but in all industries. So it says a lot about it. And, I'm 110% behind it. And I've taken the leap of faith in this myself, so I can easily tell others about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Elliot. And that brings us to the end of the session. And I want to thank all the attendees for joining and participating and asking all those questions. And once again, thanks, Elliot, for answering all those questions so well. So
Pleasure.
I've dropped a couple of handy links in the chat for everyone to interact with. You can connect with Elliot on his LinkedIn. All of these links are going to be in the chat right now. We've also added some links to his company, Virtual Outsourcing and Cayman Recruitment and Hunted as well. So you can explore these companies and speak to Elliot about these directly if needed. And we've also dropped a couple of other links for Recruit CRM. So if you want to learn more about Recruit CRM, you can head to our website. If you want to book a free demo to check out the product, you can of course book a free demo as well. And we also have a no commitment, unlimited free trial for you guys to check out and sign up for. And at the moment, we also have a live survey going on. So if you guys would want to take out 5 minutes to fill that out, you will get 3 handy recruitment ebooks as a reward for filling this survey out. So the link for that is also in the chat right now. And you can of course connect with Recruit CRM on social media as well to stay up to date on the upcoming live events. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this event. Thank you so much, Elliot, and thank you so much
Pleasure.
again to all the attendees. And yeah, I guess we'll see everyone at the next one.